Greetings and welcome, I'm Ash, and today I think you should try Path of Exile, a free-to-play ARPG that draws inspiration from Diablo 2 and features a frankly ridiculous amount of viable character builds, spell combinations, and most importantly, content to enjoy. As with all free-to-play games, the one big question I can imagine forming on everyone's lips right now is, can you buy your way to the very top? The answer to that is thankfully a resounding no, as Path of Exile has one of the best microtransaction models in the entire industry, overshadowed only by Dota 2 and its hat-based economy. You can buy cosmetic armor pieces, new effects for spells, different decorations for your personal hideout, minor account upgrades such as stash increases, and best of all, a whole array of cute little pets to follow you around. During the 2 years I've been with Path of Exile, I've never felt forced to buy anything from the cash shop, and the only reason I've even bought a couple of items was purely to support the developers who had managed to earn my loyalty relatively early on. Well, that and the little kitty cat that was far too cute to pass up on. If you're wondering why I've stuck around with Path of Exile for so long, despite there being hundreds of ARPGs out there, the answer is the sheer amount of choices you have when it comes to building your character, both in terms of offense and defense. When it comes to active spells and abilities, you have a whopping 178 unique skills to choose from, with each and every single one of those then being further improved upon through the use of 87 support skills. To demonstrate how this works, let's take the most generic ability in every ARPG, the humble Fireball. The Fireball in Path of Exile is nothing special, it's a simple projectile that goes forward and then explodes if it hits an enemy, causing them to light on fire if the hit was a critical strike. However, once you start introducing support gems, things begin spiraling out of control very quickly, as I'll show you in this brief example. If you take the Fireball gem and add to it lesser multiple projectiles, you will shoot a trio of fireballs. If you take that and add Spell Echo to it, you will shoot a trio of fireballs twice in quick succession, though with lower damage. If you take that combination and add Chain to it, you will have all of the above, but the fireballs will no longer stop if they touch an enemy. They will instead keep bouncing around in order to share their fiery love with everyone who's willing or unwilling to accept it. If you take all of that and add the Trap support gem, you will have all of the above, but instead of personally casting the fireballs, they will be deployed from a trap that triggers when some unlucky bastard steps on it. It isn't really the best combination with the fireball given the effect of the spell, but it is a good example of what you can do. Keep in mind that this is just one small example for one single spell. There are hundreds or even thousands of potential combinations out there, all waiting for you to discover them, optimize them, and then use them with extreme prejudice against anyone that dares stand between you and loot. If you're at this point baffled at the paralyzing amount of decisions laid upon you, allow me to send you straight into a coma by saying that the skill tree you might know from other games is less like a tree and more of a fully grown forest. Instead of having classes that are all completely distinct from each other, the ones in Path of Exile only determine how you will look and where in the gigantic net of skills and passive abilities you will start. While there are certainly plenty of boring talents such as plus 10 strength or plus 5% HP, there are plenty of unique and character defining ones that come with a massive upside and an equally terrifying downside. A good example of how build defining these talents can be is Ancestral Bond, that makes it so you can spawn a second attack totem but at the cost of losing the ability to attack yourself. A harsh penalty to be sure, but it's also completely avoidable if you design your build around it, and that is something I absolutely love seeing in ARPGs. All the spells in the world would not save a boring combat system, however, so it's a good thing indeed that Path of Exile is a joy to play. Ever since last year's update, lag and issues with desyncing have mostly been fixed, and the combat has been buttery smooth ever since. There are some small annoyances related to a few specific abilities and combinations, but overall, Path of Exile controls exactly like you would want it to, and outside of some insanely specific circumstances or low durability character builds, you won't find yourself dying out of nowhere or due to unfair reasons. When you combine all of this with some rather atmospheric audiovisual design, you get a game that's both interesting to play from a mechanical standpoint, but also from the perspective of exploration and lore seeking. This might not sound very important, and to be honest, it really isn't, but compared to Diablo 3's cheesefest of a story, the one found in Path of Exile is mature, ominous, and told subtly through character interactions and snippets of lore found in various unique items. In essence, it is very similar to how the Dark Souls series does it. There are things to speculate about, villains that are, for the lack of a better word, completely fucked up, as well as locations that make a lot of sense both thematically and in the terms of lore. None of this is important when it comes to gameplay, but the feeling of immersion and understanding I have for Path of Exile is far, far greater than what I've experienced in Diablo 3, despite it having large amounts of plot exposition and evil monologuing. As for the core gameplay loop, that's going to come down to personal preference. For me, the reason I really enjoy Path of Exile is because every single item you find on the ground, from the humble common drop to the extremely rare unique, has the potential to be useful at every single point in the game, something that is almost completely unheard of in the ARPG genre as a whole. This is done by completely removing gold or any equivalent it might have, and instead basing the economy on currency items that can actually be used to upgrade gear, thus removing them from the game forever. It might not sound like much, but being able to get excited about currency drops all the way from level 1 to level 99 is a wonderful feeling. The second and probably more important reason is that Path of Exile actually offers a decent amount of challenge throughout the entire game, and then finally culminates by ramping up the difficulty to 11, breaking the handle and then going even further. There's no need to worry about being smacked down with a giant hammer the moment you log in, however, as all of this is introduced gradually. First through standard zone-to-zone progression, then by switching from a lower difficulty to a higher one by defeating the final boss, and in the end through the extremely well-designed endgame mapping system. While you might disagree on the difficulty, I feel it's an immensely important aspect of Path of Exile, as it ensures that you will constantly be searching for better items and spell combinations, while also making sure that each and every rare encounter or guarded chest comes with a certain amount of risk, because you never know if fighting those elite enemies will be worth it until you're actually done with them. Naturally, you can't just play in the softcore difficulty where dying is only penalized with an experience penalty, but I would heavily recommend playing in hardcore instead, as the constant risk of death adds a whole new layer to gameplay and to your own personal attachment to your very fragile in-game avatar. Path of Exile has some notable flaws and plenty of little quirks that require getting used to, but even with all of that considered, I still believe it is a true successor to Diablo 2 and to me personally the best ARPG currently available. If you enjoy the shoot and loot style of gameplay, deep character customization, or just a game that respects your abilities as a player, then I think you should try Path of Exile. It is an excellent game, it is absolutely brimming with content, and most importantly, it is completely free to try out, so give it a look. Thank you guys for listening, and if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please do let me know, and if you would like to see more, you can either subscribe here, or you can check out the website link down below. That one tends to be updated a bit more frequently. With all of that said, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I will see you soon with Battleborn. See ya!